Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's presentation where I'm going to show a demonstration of the Nexus powered by ERwin. As you can see in my systems tree, I have a wide variety of systems that I can choose from. I'm going to choose my Teradata system. Now I'll be able to run queries, and you're going to be able to see the tables and views visually, and Nexus will write the SQL. I open up my SQL class database, I go to the addresses table, and I pick Super Join Builder. Here you see the table and its columns visually. Each time I click on a column, that's on my report. And I can also see what joins to what. This table joins to the subscribers, which joins to claims, and that joins to providers and services. We'll pick the first four, and as you can see, the tables are now visually connected. I pick the columns. The SQL is built right before my eyes automatically, and I can run this query at any time. It's that simple. Once the model is loaded, the Nexus knows everything, and this brings the power of the genius of the modeler to the masses. Now I'm going to run a MapReduce program on my Aster data system. I hit New Query. Notice the blue tab. There's the orange tab and the blue tab. This MapReduce came back with an answer set on a 1,000,000 row table. Look at the pattern, A or B, and then we say look for anybody that's done a funds transfer as A or a customer support as B, and show me the last page they clicked on. If you've never seen a MapReduce function, they're pretty impressive, and it's unstructured data that they're going after in many cases. The Nexus not only works with all systems, as you can see above, but it works on structured or unstructured data at the same time, which also is going to bring the model and the modeler to a whole new dimension. Prepare yourself to be amazed. We're going to cube a table, which means we go to the Super Join Builder, we say cube with columns, and every table in the entire lineage is going to be joined together at one time. The SQL is already built. We can move the tables around. We can make them bigger or smaller. This gives the user the visual they need to understand the business, understand the data, and of course, at a moment's notice, we can get everything back into the perfect order. But the SQL's been built automatically, and the query and the report are delivered. We can even check out the explain to see exactly what the system did. That's the idea. In a couple of seconds, let the power of the model and the Nexus do the heavy lifting. Now, there is nothing a user loves more than to see analytics, and we're going to make it so easy. We're going to come to the Super Join Builder, and we're going to the sales table, and we're going to get a wide variety of analytics. We hit the analytics tab on the top right in the blue, and we're going to do our ordered analytics. We're going to OLAP our daily sales. Let's sort by the product ID and the sale date, and let's partition by the product ID, and I want a moving window of 3. Now we could select cumulative sum, moving sum, but why not select them all? And heck, let's get the partitioning done so we can see both subtotals and grand totals. The SQL is built as soon as we click those tabs, and you can see it, and we can execute this report. Now we're going to use the Nexus, drag the window over, so we're going to have 2 windows so we can see things just a little bit better. And as you can see here now, on day 1 with our daily sales, we made that amount, and you can see our cumulative sum. Then the next day we add to that, and that is a running total. We go further, we see a moving sum every 3 rows. Then we're going to see the moving average, then the moving difference. You see, on day 3, here's what we made. And on day 1, 2 rows before, the moving difference between those rows, we lost over $12,000. As you can see, here we're going to go from different product ID to product ID, and we're going to see a wide variety of resets. We've got our C-sums, moving averages, moving differences, the counts, the mins, the max, both in a grand total and subtotal fashion. And each time we go to that subtotal break between 1,000 and 2,000, this is going to reset for anything that is partitioned. Why not put the power of the analytics, not in writing this code? This probably would have taken hours for someone if they could have gotten this right. Right to the power of the visual desktop. Once the model's loaded, we understand it and we can move forward. Now, why stop there? We're going to do grouping sets, roll-ups, and cubes. Let's do product ID as our product. Date column is sale date. We're going to sum the daily sales. Let's start with the grouping sets. As you can see here, the SQL is built. We can execute them all at once, but let's just do the grouping sets. Here you'll see product ID 3000. This is what we made for the entire year. You're going to see 2000, what we made for the entire year, and of course 1000. And then of course it'll then start over and show us what we did each month. And of course there's our grand total of what we did for 1000, 2000, 3000, and what we did in each month. Now our roll up will take that a little bit further. We can start showing what we did with product ID 3000 for each month and for each year. Same with 2000 each month, what we did each year, and then 1000. And if you total all that up, you're going to see the grand total. But why stop? You're going to go with the cube. This is going to give me everything for 3000. What we did per month, what we did per year, what we did in all years. Same with 2000, same with 1000. And then of course in the very end we'll see what we did for all products for the month, for the years, and for a grand total. That's the idea. Let's give the user the analytics they need, but let the power of the model and the power of the Nexus do the heavy lifting. The Nexus wasn't designed generically to connect ODBC. It connects every system like it was born for that system. Why? It's important to understand the indexes. Here I pick the super join builder. The SQL is built, but I go to the Where tab in purple, and it's going to show me all of the underlying indexes for this table. I've got a unique primary index. I'm going to pick that, and all I have to do is put in the employee number, and this is the fastest query known to man. Let me show you this in actual SQL inside the Nexus. There's our where clause. We can run this. With an explain, it shows this is a single AMP retrieve, and that's the fastest approach to a Teradata query. It works the same way with every other database. Showing the underlying indexes shows the speed, the power, and the integrity of a system so that the user can always query the fastest path possible. That's the power of the Nexus. So many people say to me, Tom, I really like to write the SQL by hand. Well, you can still do that, but let the power of the model be your friend and show you how to get things started, and then you can manipulate that. Here, I'm going to pick the services table. The model tells me that it joins to claims, and claims joins to providers, and services joins to addresses. You know what? Let's just pick them all to show my point here. Pick providers, make sure everything's straightened out here. Now, we're going to pick a couple of the actual columns in each table, maybe two. But I want you to also notice something very, very interesting here. Each table has a different color, so visually we'll be able to identify these tables. See, the SQL is built because of the columns that we've picked. But now we're going to manipulate that. As you can see here, notice that we've got the red table, which is services. Then we've got the orange table, which is claims, purple subscribers. We've got addresses in blue and providers in green. Now I'm going to go to the orange columns tab. Those are the columns up top that we've picked. Notice they're red and orange and purple. I can move those around, and as I manipulate those like a Rubik's Cube, it changes the SQL for me. We're going to see that right now the claim IDs first. At the bottom we just moved zip code up and phone up. We forgot to click those on the way in, but we can change that. Oh, I just moved zip to the front. Now it's first and claim ID is second. So the manipulation is right there. The point being, you don't have to type. You can even come in here and I just hit control and service code and then shift to provider name. I'm moving all of this out of there. That moves off the report. Now there's only 3 columns on the report. I feel the need for speed. I can do further manipulation. Let's go to the sorting tab up in yellow. How do we want to sort things? Well, let's just click on anything we want to sort. Claim date, no problem. Service pay, let's do it in descending order. That SQL is built. Let's go to the joins tab and change things around. Not an inner join. Let's go with a right outer join to start, and then followed by a left, and a left. And again, the SQL is built. You can have the creativity you want, but we're going to make it very easy to learn from the model and then manipulate the SQL. See the explain, check out the relationships, see all the columns, see the indexes of each table, so you can make the best decision when you're building these queries. You can still write the SQL yourself, just let the Nexus do the typing. Now, what I'm about to show you is the future of all computing. Not every table is part of the ERwin model, possibly. You might have new tables come in, and we're going to show a demonstration of that now, and I'll explain why that's very futuristic. I just created a table called ERwin, and it's really an employee table, but as you can now see, it is in my systems tree. So I'm going to go to the super join builder with my ERwin, which is really an employee table, and I'll pick the columns I want. The SQL is automatically built. But when I say, hey, listen, what's it joined to? It says I can't identify anything. In other words, it wasn't part of the ERwin model that was loaded. So, and this is where it gets very futuristic, but bear with me for just a second. I know this joins to the department table. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab the department table in my tree, and I'm going to drag it into the super join builder, where the Nexus then says, hey, how do you want these two tables to join? And I go department number and department number, and I want you to remember that. I pick my columns, the SQL is built, I can execute, and I get an answer set. Now I've customized the Nexus to join to the table or tables I want it to. So the next time I come into the ERwin, I come in, I grab that table, I say what's it joined to? It says the department table. I can grab that, and now the SQL is built and it's executed immediately. What's so important about this is the Nexus works with all systems. So you're going to be able to actually go out there and drag in tables from any system in the enterprise. Tell the Nexus what the join relationship is, and you're going to be able to then join these tables. They're going to execute. Nexus will do all of the data movement and conversion needed to join these together, and you're just going to get one nice answer set. And that is the future. You're going to see that coming up very soon. That's going to challenge the modelers to model across platforms. What I'm about to do, you've probably never even imagined is possible. We're going to convert from our Teradata database to, well, any other database we want to, every single table in our database. Here we're going to convert to, let's pick one. Let's go with Hadoop. We choose our Hadoop. The conversion window comes up. We could pick one table. Let's pick them all. Hit the button to convert them. Now they are prepared for conversion. As you can see, we've chosen Hadoop, but we could change our mind here. We'll stay with Hadoop. If you did this by hand, it might take a month. It's not going to take a month. It's happening right now, right before your eyes. The conversion has just happened, and those 19 tables, including the ERwin table we just created, are now in Hadoop format. Copy, paste to your Hadoop system. Those tables are created. Hard to believe? Let's do it to Netezza. Once again, we will go to conversion, hit Netezza, and we're going to convert to Netezza. That's the most important thing in a multi-vendor environment and a multi-vendor tool, to be able to convert from any system to any other system in just seconds. And that's a big part of our strategy when we start to join tables from different systems together. We have to be able to convert, we have to be able to move, and the Nexus is going to be able to do that. Hey, how about Oracle, just to make sure you're a believer? Once again, you're seeing us point, click, and now Each one of these table structures has been converted from Teradata into an Oracle environment. Now the modeler is going to have to model almost at an enterprise level. Fantastic. So many people say this is a beautiful technology, Tom, but frankly, all I get to do is work with views, so I don't know the underlying indexes. I don't know what joins to what. Well, that's the beauty of the Nexus. Here we're going to go to our views database, and we're going to do the same thing with views as we do with tables. I'm going to come down and choose the addresses view and go to the super join builder. Here you can see that I'm looking at the view, but I'm looking at it visually. What's it joined to? Well, subscribers, which joins to claims, which joins to services and providers. I think I'm going to put everything out there so you can actually create one view per table, and the users can see the join relationships between these views. Make them bigger, make her smaller. Everything works the same. I'm going to add in the final table. Everything's set. SQL's done. And of course, I can execute and I get my report only based on those views. I think one of the most difficult things for users is that they don't know the underlying indexes because they're using the views. But once you load the physical model of ERwin, Nexus knows this. So now we've got the employee view. Notice the column names here. Those are actual alias names. Those are not the underlying base table names, but the SQL still built. And if you go to the where clause here, it's going to show you the underlying indexes of the base table. It used to be employee number. That's the unique primary index. It's empno in the view, but it's still going to be indexed. We can put in 2 million again because we're looking for Squiggy Jones. His employee number is 2 million. And once again, we can execute this and get a single row. And it says once again, this is the fastest path to utilize this view. And that's really the key for these users. You see, even though the users have views for security purposes, we're going to be able to manipulate this just the same. I'm going to do the view, click cube. It's a 5 view join. SQL's built in seconds. And once again, if I want to write it by hand, let's manipulate it. Go to the columns tab. Let's get rid of some things right here. Throw it in the trash can above. Let's manipulate the columns just a little bit. Now let's go to the sorting and pick how we want to sort it. Let's change the joins to rights and lefts and folds, or whatever we decide we want to do. And again, the SQL is built, and now the user, who's only had views in the past, now that the model's loaded, has got full power and view into what's happening. We've designed everything in Nexus to be visual. So here we're going to pick the employee view. We're going to click on the columns. Of course, our SQL is going to be made in seconds, and we're ready to run this. But now let's graph and chart this. And this is something that we call visualize. It's visualize our business. And that's a big key to be able to see graphs and charts and make decisions. Here you can see our visualize. We can just drag over the last name and the department number right here, and it's going to begin to build the graph. Dynamically, we can say, how do we want it colored? Well, we want to see the different department numbers in their own color, and we want to see a level of detail of the actual salary. So now we can go to each column, see the salary, get a better sense of visually, and that's what this is all about. And of course, it works on all systems. Visual teaches people the data. I'm going to conclude today by showing you some very powerful and futuristic ideas that combine the model with the Nexus. Now, I just did another view query. I built the SQL in seconds, and I've executed it. This is run on my system, and it's brought back an answer set. So often we need to go back to the system to get and further that answer set. But why would we do that when we can do it right on the desktop? I'm going to take this sales table, go over to the right, and I'm going to OLAP the answer set without ever leaving my desktop. I'll just drag in the sales amount from the view. I'll sort by product ID and date of sale, and I'm going to partition by product ID with a moving window of 2, and once again I'm going to select all of my grand totals, see sum, moving average for my ordered analytics, and let's do the subtotals and the partitioning, and in seconds. Nexus did this inside the desktop with Nexus's brain, so there's no need to do all of your analytics on some type of large data warehouse when you already hold the answer set and the power to do so without bothering anybody else, without going over the network. You can do it right here. I could save this to Excel and further manipulate this, and that's really a key aspect of the Nexus. Let's utilize, of course, every system we have in the enterprise, but imagine thousands of desktop PCs with Nexus loaded, being able to run much of the analytics right there on the PC. And I think that's something you're going to see in the future. Now, get ready for this, because I don't know that anybody's even thought of this. We're going to create a new system that is an internal system on our desktop. I just called this ERwin, and we're going to create a new system called ERwin. You can see it right up here, and there is our ERwin. Now we're going to take our ERwin system and we're going to get it ready. You can see the tables out there. Now I'm going to take an answer set and I'm going to bring it into Nexus, and it's an answer set I could have taken from anything in the system, and there's my answer set. I'm going to change the name of that. Let's call it Employee Teradata. Watch what happens when I drag and drop this up to my ERwin system. It's dragged, it's going to go up, it's been created. I can query that again. I can actually join that with other tables that I've dragged to the same place. I'm going to just do a quick select on this. This query just ran internally because the Nexus has its own database inside the Nexus. You see, actually I could have named this ERwin 2 and dragged it to any other system in the enterprise. Watch when I drag this to my SQL class database, it creates it over there. That's the power of the conversions of Nexus. You see, what we think is going to happen is that this is going to really take and bottle the genius of the modeler and allow the modeler to actually place that knowledge inside every desktop, because any user who's using the Nexus is going to be able to see which tables have a relationship, which views have a relationship, what are the underlying indexes of these base tables. We're going to teach them everything visually so they begin to see the business, how the data flows, yet they're going to be able to get things done magnitudes of order quicker because the Nexus is going to do all of the work. This is going to allow the modeler to really be able to model every system in the enterprise, and then once they've been able to model every system, they're going to actually have to come up with an enterprise model, because we're going to want to join an Oracle table to a Teradata table, to a Hadoop table, to an Aster table, to a Netezza table, and that's the future of computing. Having a model for every system, bringing that model to the enterprise level, and then having a distributed environment that works like a charm. I want to thank you for coming today. It's been our pleasure. Go forth and prosper.